You're scrolling through news about workers striking outside an Amazon warehouse, baristas organizing at your local Starbucks, or teachers walking out in your city. Ever wonder what a labor union actually is, and whether they help workers or just make everything more expensive? Today, I'll explain labor unions like you're 5 years old. By the end, you'll understand exactly how unions shift power between workers and employers, what makes them work or backfire, and why this matters for your wallet, whether you're in a union or not. Here's the simplest definition. A labor union is when workers join together and negotiate with their employer as one group instead of going it alone. Think of it this way. If one employee walks into their boss's office asking for a raise, the boss can easily say no. But if 50 employees walk in together and say, "We all need raises or we stop working," suddenly the boss has a problem. That's the core power of a union. Workers band together to negotiate wages, benefits, working hours, job security, and safety conditions. Instead of each person fighting alone, they pool their leverage and bargain as a single unit. Unions aren't new. They exploded in the early 1900s when factory workers faced brutal conditions: 12-hour shifts, child labor, and zero job security. Workers organized, went on strike, and forced companies to improve. By the 1950s, about 1 in 3 American workers belonged to a union. They won weekends, overtime pay, health benefits, and safer workplaces. Then union membership started its long decline as factories moved overseas and laws made organizing harder. Private sector union membership dropped to about 6% today. But now unions are roaring back. Amazon workers are organizing in at least 30 warehouses. Starbucks has over 400 unionized stores. Hollywood writers and actors just struck for months and won major contract improvements. So why now? Because workers feel squeezed. Inflation ate everyone's paychecks while wages stayed flat for years. Housing costs exploded in nearly every major city. Student debt piled up. Healthcare got more expensive. Meanwhile, corporate profits hit record highs. Workers look at CEOs earning 300 times what they make and think, something's broken here. When individual workers can't afford rent despite working full-time, they start thinking collective action might be the only way to get a fair shake. Add in the pandemic, which showed millions of workers they were called essential, but treated as expendable. That combination created the perfect storm, driving this new wave of union organizing. Now here's the big question. Are unions actually good for today's economy, or do they create more problems than they solve? Let's look at what unions do well first. Unions consistently raise wages for their members. Studies show union workers earn 10 to 20% more than similar non-union workers doing the same job. They also get better benefits like health insurance, retirement plans, and paid leave. Union workers are 50% more likely to have employer-provided health insurance. They're also more likely to have predictable schedules, which matters enormously if you're juggling childcare or a second job. Even workers who aren't in unions benefit because nearby employers have to compete by offering better pay and conditions. Unions reduce wage inequality by lifting the bottom up. They give workers a real voice when companies cut corners on safety or suddenly change schedules. If you're a warehouse worker with no leverage on your own, a union can be the difference between being treated fairly and being disposable. But unions aren't magic, and they're not free. Higher labor costs mean companies face a choice. They can accept lower profit margins, raise prices, and pass costs to consumers, hire fewer workers, or automate jobs faster to avoid dealing with unions at all. All of these happen in real life. When Walmart faced union organizing efforts, they simply closed stores rather than negotiate. When fast food workers pushed for $15 minimum wages, companies accelerated self-service kiosk rollouts. When unions push too hard or create rigid rules, businesses struggle. This matters most in highly competitive industries where companies need flexibility to survive. Here's what most people miss. Unions work best when there's a real power imbalance. If you're a nurse dealing with hospital understaffing, a teacher in an underfunded school, or a warehouse worker getting squeezed by impossible productivity targets, you have almost zero leverage alone. A union fixes that. But if you're a software engineer at a startup with tons of job offers and negotiating power already, a union might just add bureaucracy without giving you much. The question isn't, are unions good or bad in some universal sense? The question is, Does this specific group of workers need collective bargaining to balance power with their employer? One argument you hear constantly is that unions kill jobs. The data is more complicated. Yes, some unionized companies hire fewer workers or automate faster, but union workers also spend their higher wages in their communities, which creates other jobs. A warehouse worker making $5 more per hour spends that on groceries, car repairs, and local services. That spending supports other jobs in the local economy. Unions can also make companies more productive by reducing turnover and giving workers incentives to stay and get better at their jobs. A company that churns through workers every 6 months loses a ton of money on training and mistakes. A stable unionized workforce can actually be more efficient and produce higher quality work. The real issue is whether union demands match what the company or industry can actually afford without collapsing. Here's where it gets messy. Some unions overreach. When unions in declining industries fought to preserve jobs that technology was eliminating anyway, they delayed the inevitable and sometimes made things worse. When public sector unions negotiate with politicians who depend on union votes, you can get sweetheart deals that bankrupt cities or states years later. Detroit's municipal bankruptcy was partly driven by unsustainable pension obligations negotiated decades earlier. And when union rules become so rigid that bad employees can't be fired or good ideas can't be tried, everyone loses. Unions are run by humans, and humans make mistakes. The tool itself isn't bad, but it can absolutely be used poorly. So here's the truth about unions in today's economy. They're good at protecting workers who lack bargaining power individually, especially in stable industries where labor costs are only part of the picture. They tend to raise wages and improve conditions not just for members, but for nearby workers too. But they work best when they're pragmatic, when they balance worker needs against business reality, and when they don't strangle flexibility. In fast-changing industries, or when they demand things companies genuinely can't afford, unions can backfire by destroying the jobs they're trying to protect. This matters to you even if you're not in a union. Union wages set a floor that affects what everyone gets paid in similar jobs. Union fights over sick leave or scheduling often spread to non-union workplaces as companies try to stay competitive. And union strikes affect prices and availability of everything from groceries to entertainment. When Hollywood writers struck, your favorite shows stop production. When delivery drivers strike, your packages arrive late. When nurses strike, hospitals scramble to maintain patient care. When dock workers strike, goods sit on ships offshore and store shelves empty. These fights shape the economy you live in, whether you're directly involved or not. Here's something most people don't realize. The hearings, elections, and labor board decisions happening right now will determine how easy or hard it is to form unions for the next generation. More unions could mean higher wages and better conditions for millions of workers. It could also mean higher prices, more automation, and messier negotiations that disrupt services. Less union power could mean more flexibility and lower costs for businesses and consumers. It could also mean workers getting squeezed harder with no way to push back against wage stagnation or dangerous conditions. There's no perfect answer because the trade-offs are real. So to recap, a labor union is workers negotiating together instead of alone. They raise wages and benefits and give workers a voice when they have no individual leverage. They work best when power is unbalanced and workers need collective strength. But higher labor costs can mean higher prices, fewer jobs, or faster automation. Unions aren't universally good or bad. They're a tool that works well in some situations and poorly in others. Understanding that trade-off matters more than picking a side blindly. The new wave of organizing is happening because workers feel squeezed while corporate profits soar. What happens next will shape wages, prices, and power dynamics for decades. So here's the real question. Do labor unions give workers the leverage they desperately need to survive in today's economy, or do they just make everything more expensive and less flexible while protecting outdated work rules that hold everyone back?